Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Pennsylvania Berwind. It's been a while since I've done a Let's Build, so yeah, here we are. We are up at the PBS coal, and this is the second largest coal distributor on the Pennsylvania Berwind. And honestly, I've been really just sort of stalling on getting started on this build because it is such a big build, and I have no experience doing coal mines or anything like that, and I was just really intimidated by this, so I've been putting it off for a little while. And here we are. We're going to be here probably for a few episodes, so buckle in. We're going to do a lot of work. But before I get into what I'm doing here today, I wanted to let you guys know that January 28th and 29th, I will be at the Amherst Trainz show up in Springfield, Massachusetts. So if you guys plan to attend, let me know. I'll be hanging around there both days. I'd love to meet with you guys if you're going to be there. Maybe we can get lunch or something like that. So let me know down in the comments. If you're not going to be there, make sure you're following my Twitter or my Snapchat because I will be talking about everything throughout the day. The booths that I'll be at and the models and things like that. So make sure you tune in there. Alright, so onward to the building. A lot of you guys have been asking me what my creative process is when I kind of get into a build like this and how I decide where I'm going to lay things out and things like that. And I wish the answer was really simple, but it's not. It's kind of complicated. But I'm going to do my best to explain to you what my process is when I get into something like this. Generally what I do is I start off by thinking about what the build is supposed to be. What am I building? So for example, here we're building a coal mine. So from there, I want to think about what the location is, what the setting is. Just like if you were writing a short story or something like that, you got to think about what the themes are and your setting and time and space and all that sort of thing. So here we've got northeastern region. We are in the modern era, short line railroad, and it's a coal mine. So I've got those few questions answered, and from there I could start thinking about what kind of buildings I'm going to put down. Well, it's pretty obvious. I'm building a coal mine. I gotta find some kind of coal tipple and some kind of coal facilities. So, armed with the knowledge that I have about my era and time and place, I can go onto the download station or start sorting through the buildings in Surveyor here and see if I can start finding some stuff that matches that particular theme. Once I start finding some buildings that I like, I'll place them down and think to myself about how they interact with the rest of the world. Like, what is their interaction with the railroad tracks? What is their interaction with the region that it is in and the space around it? So from there, I can kind of decide how I'm going to put the tracks in, the roads I'm going to put in, and some of the other structures that kind of fit that theme. But honestly, like, the whole thing doesn't really start to take shape until I start building. And it kind of just takes on an organic process where once I get the buildings down, I'll just look at where the doors are, where there's gates, things like that. And I think to myself, where would employees need to come in and go out? Where would trucks be stored? What other types of buildings might support a facility like this? Do they have administrative buildings that are crunching numbers and doing accounting and paperwork? Is there maintenance sheds? Are there places for trucks to park in garages and things like that? And armed with that, then I could start placing down other buildings that support this bigger structure. And I just kind of go through and connect things a little bit at a time. How big is this facility? Does it need a big parking lot for employees? Does it need a few parking lots for employees? Is there a truck yard? Is there, stuff like that? What is happening here? So we've got this coal facility here. I'm imagining that they probably have a lot of coal going out, not only in coal cars, but probably in trucks. They probably have their own fleet of trucks that they use, so there might be a facility like you're seeing right here, where they do maintenance on their own vehicles, stuff like that. And I'm probably going to go ahead and add some more administrative buildings as well for the accounting and things like that. And just as I build, I just work my way from one spot to the next and just evaluate that negative space and just kind of think of how I can kind of connect it together in the most organic way possible. Instead of just putting down a whole bunch of parking lots and making it all asphalt, because that would be the cheap way to do it, or making it all grass. Like, I know that this is a big industrial complex. There's not going to be a whole lot of grass all over the place. It's probably going to be dirt or mud or muck in between those asphalt areas. So really, I just kind of build out from there and just do a little bit at a time. And, you know, admittedly, I get a little distracted sometimes. I definitely have some ADD when it comes to some of these bigger builds, because I'll be focused on one spot, and then I'll see something, like, on the other side. I'll be like, oh, I got an idea for that. I gotta put that building down over there. I gotta put that detail. And I'll go start working on that, and then I'll be like, wait a minute, no, I was working on this other area. I gotta go back. So sometimes I try, I do bounce around a little bit. I try not to, but it does happen. But if you could stay focused and just stick around in one area and kind of complete one area before you move on to the next, you can get a similar effect. And just pay attention to how the models are laid out. Where are their doors? You know, people are going to need access in and out of the building. There's going to be various parking areas. There's going to be various places for trucks, garbage, and that sort of thing. Like, you don't have to know what everything does in a big facility like this, or where it goes, or what its responsibility is. If you can just get that sort of idea there, that there's people that are working and that there is stuff going on here, nobody's going to really care what it's for. It's just going to be accepted that that's a thing that building needs. So I guess that's kind of my process. I hope that answers it for you. It sounds like a lot, but usually just once I start getting into a project, the flow starts going, and you know, I kind of get into it, and I figure it out as I go. And that's kind of how I got into this build too. I was really, like I said, intimidated by it, and I didn't want to start it, but I knew once I got started on it, it would kind of just flow and, you know, be organic as I go. So I think it's unfolding pretty nicely so far. I'm pretty happy with it. Let me know what you guys think. I've never even been to a real coal mine or anything like that. So this is completely fictional. This is all in my head. I've looked at a few photos. Like I said, just to kind of get that theme, just to see what things are like the landmark type buildings that make that a coal mine. You know, when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's a coal mine, or that's an oil industry, or that's this. Like, you just know it based on a few landmark buildings. Everything else can be whatever, you know? Alright, so in the second half of this video, we're going to do a little on-camera building, and hopefully that gives you a little bit more of a glimpse into my thinking and how long it actually does take me to actually get a build in motion, because, you know, sometimes it does take a little while, and I can get a little bit carried away, but let's take a look. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that time-lapse. We're going to wrap up this episode here by doing a little bit of an on-camera build, and I've got my eye on this freight depot here. And if you're a fan of the original P&B, you know that up here there was no freight depot included. This is something that I added, and I thought it was kind of a nice addition to this little community up here. This little town is just pretty much completely here only because of this coal mine, so I kind of imagine that the only way that they'd have any goods coming in or anything like that would probably be through trucks, or just through like this little depot with a few boxcar loads of stuff here and there. And I thought it was a nice way to kind of break up solid coal trains and stuff like that. So let's get into it a little bit. First thing I want to do is, of course, put down a parking lot. So I'm going to go up here to my pick lists. We're going to go get some asphalt. Why is that blank? There it goes. Okay, and so yeah, we're gonna start doing some asphalt. I like to turn the scale down and turn the radius way down, and I feel like that gives me a little bit more control over the texture. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting it down. And while I'm doing this, I'm always holding down the bracket button so that it's constantly rotating the texture. Alright, so we're gonna do that, and I kind of wanted it to link up back behind here. Behind these tenement houses, so kind of like a parking lot that includes all of this. And I usually like to go in and just add a little bit of variety, so I like to find some other textures that kind of match, that are just a little subtle changes to, you know, like oil spills or cracks or whatever it might be. And then we're going to add a little bit of this, and to me this little bit underneath the road is kind of like the gravel and crap that gets kicked up off the road and kind of builds up on the shoulder and stuff like that. So we're going to start with that, and let's move this over. And my mouse is bugging out. Let's see if this helps. Okay, so next thing I like to do is I want to put down a fence just to separate it out. I like using fences to separate my scenes. I find that it breaks it up pretty well. You guys have probably picked up on that by now. I'm not going to use a barbed wire fence, we're just going to use a regular chain link fence. And I like going into the grid mode here so I can get a nice straight fence. Let's go from here. Why not? Let's go over to here. You know what? Let's go up. Let's go up one so we can connect it to the side of this building. And then we'll drag this up. And what I do when I'm doing these fences, in order to keep them perfectly lined up, I let the spline points stay connected until I kind of lay it out. And then I come over here and use the spline, it just says split spline tool, I guess. So I'll use that, and then it makes it straight. And now they're not connected, but they look like they are. So I find that that is quite helpful. And we'll do the same thing here to connect it. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do that. Because I'm looking at the side of the building here, and I see that there's a little walkway. So let's actually take that back just a little tiny bit. Delete this, and why don't we come out to here? Yeah, that looks cool. Break that up, and then let's take our fence from here to here. Let's see what that's going to connect to. Okay, cool. That worked. Delete that, and delete that. All right, cool. Let's take a look. All right, that's got a nice shape to it. Let's actually bring this texture over a little bit too. There we go. Now the workers have some access to get in and out of there. All right, so let's see. What else do we want to do? We want to add some trucks. Cars and trucks. And man, these pick lists like saved the day for me. They really did. If you go back to one of my first videos, I was complaining about how there was no favorites, no way to like favorite assets and stuff like that. And I stumbled upon this pick list thing, and holy crap, man, this just like saved the day. It just allows me to put all of my favorite stuff, the stuff that I use all the time, right there and just have it. So I love it. Let's see. What else? So I'm just going to scroll through some of these assets and just see what else we got, what else looks good. Everybody's got their own way of titling things, so it's never really easy to find what you're looking for. What's this one? Swift. All right, yeah, sure, why not? Swift. I think they do foods, right? Swift Foods. We'll put you there. And this parking lot is pretty small for these big tractor trailers, so let's find maybe a small truck. Oh, truck. Okay, so nothing. So I'll have to kind of dig around for a minute. And I'm going to pause right here for just a second because my batteries are dying in my mouse. All right, that's much better. All right, so we got that. Let's see if I can find another truck. I want a box truck, a small box truck. And there's the autosave. Guys, always just turn on autosave. It's annoying, but seriously, like, if something happens, especially with Tane right now, it's like, it's so unpredictable. If the game crashes, like, just forget it. Like, that's, I learned my lesson down in a couple episodes ago in Vonnie when the game crashed and I just lost a ton of stuff. I had to go back and redo it. So just try to avoid that. And I'm not finding pickup. Oh, that's interesting. See, like, the way that some of this stuff is labeled truck A1, like, it might make sense to the person who created it, but none of this makes any sense to me, or probably to you, you know? So it's kind of irritating. I wish there was more standards to the download station, kind of like, if you guys use Steam, and you go to the workshop, and for, like, a game like City Skylines, or Planet Coaster, or something like that, everything has a very specific way that it's labeled and titled, and you have to conform to all of those things in order to upload and download. So it makes it very easy to find stuff as, you know, somebody who likes the detail. All right, I'm not finding anything, so let's just move on to the next thing. So I really wish that that was something that you could have on the download station here, but you know, alas, it's not something that we have. So let's see. Let's do some details. Let's go. Let's look up some pallets. Let's add some palettes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on a different layer. I had a layer... I thought I had a layer for detail. Oh, special details. There we go. YouTuber syndrome, right? It's like you're looking at stuff that's right in front of you and you don't see it. All right, so let's put some palettes down. Let's find some nice ones. And the reason I'm putting this on a different layer is because what I'm going to do is move these up onto the dock. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm going to move them up here, and I don't want to accidentally be moving around this building at all or anything like that. So let's bring this down to a reasonable height. How high are we here? This is like ridiculous. And I just want to say I really like this model, this of this freight depot, because I'm pretty sure that I had the exact same model in N-scale when I had an N-scale layout. Like this very, I think Walter's Cornerstone, it's a Walter's Cornerstone kit, I want to say. And it's just great. I really, really like it. They did a really nice job with the detailing and all of that. Let's do one of these guys. And how about some boxes? Do we have any boxes? So yeah, I spend a lot of time just like looking for details like this, like just kind of scrolling through and just seeing what's there. And if I can't find anything, I look on the download station. Sometimes with luck, sometimes without luck. One thing I like is this derelict stuff. I think this was all by Dinosaurus Redundicus is the guy's name. And he's got a lot of this really great stuff here. So let's see. Car, caravan, chair, computer. I thought he had some boxes. There's the newspapers. If anybody was ever wondering, these are the newspapers that I put all over the place. All right, where are we here? All right, you know what? Let's just keep things moving along. We'll oh, this one's already actually floating too. We'll move this up onto here. We'll rotate it. Let's get in here a little bit better. That looks cool. Drop this down a little tiny bit so it looks like it's not floating. Okay, same thing with this. And what is the height on this? 1 unit, I guess that is. So we'll just move this. This is a pretty big pallet. I don't know who made that one. That's a gigantic pallet. Let's put that there. I'll have to go on the download station to see if I can find like some dock workers or something like that. It'd be good to add some people in here. All right, so what else could we do? We want to add some cars for the guys who work here, even though, you know, they probably live in this town. They might just walk over. Get rid of the S. And I think I use a lot of these ones. Yeah, they're just like I think they're just the built-in ones. And I'm not really very particular about it. I'm just kind of like select one and put it down and try to, you know, make sure that it doesn't look exactly the same as anything else. All right, that should be good enough. Straighten these guys out. Okay, we'll just line them up like that. That looks kind of cool. All right, so one thing, let's add a bumper down here. And I don't really have a preference right now, so we'll just slap that down. I don't know if these actually work either, like if a train car actually rolls into it, if it will stop it, or if it just goes right through it. I'm not really sure. It'd be interesting to take a look at. All right, so also what I want to do is add... let's do some texturing here. Whoa. Get rid of that. Oh, you know what? This is the thing with layers too. I forgot to go back. I wish when you did a layer like it was in Photoshop, you know, like you can kind of bring it tab out and just kind of leave it there. So that you knew what you were doing. So let's just move this back to... It would be fine on the special details layer, but we'll just move it. So let's lock that and go back to the route layer. And then get some of this stuff. And I kind of like just randomly putting it down. Oh, and one thing, one tip for you guys for doing scenery. Is this track floating? No. One tip for you guys doing scenery, what I do is I have it set to automatically rotate new assets. I think it's under here somewhere. I don't know, one of these settings, randomly rotate new objects. Turn that on, and that's going to save you a ton of time, and it helps break up things so that like your trees and stuff aren't all facing in the same direction, and then you don't have to sit there and like rotate them manually. So it at least adds a little bit of randomness to it naturally. All right, that looks kind of cool. Let's do a little bit of ground texturing, ground paint, and I like this brown dirt. Whoops. Okay, that looks kind of cool. Now let's work our way over here. Let's add a crossing. And we're going to use the jointed rail wood one. That looks, let's do 2. How's that look? Yeah, that looks cool. Let's add, let's see. We want to add a crossing sign. Really, we just want some basic crossbucks here. I think would look good. Again, you gotta kind of like dig through stuff. Yeah, we'll just do something like this. Yep, I would say that that looks good. Let's rotate it. And stuff like this, like certain signs, I'm not really too worried about getting exactly to like, you know, 90 degrees or 360 degrees or whatever it is. These are signs, they tend to move around with the ground as it settles and stuff like that. So they're rarely exactly perfect. So let's do that. We'll just kind of give it a little bit of space. Cool, that looks good. Let's add a stop sign at this intersection. I think I've got that under signs. Okay, we'll do this. And one thing I like to do here is if I have a telephone pole and like right at an intersection, I like to just bring the stop sign like right up, like it's mounted onto the pole, because that's, you'll see that a lot in the real world. And I can't really get it right there. So a little bit of that sign shows, but it's like hardly noticeable. And now that stop sign looks like it's part of that telephone pole. And that, I love that. It's so cool. All right, so we need a railroad crossing sign. Slap that down there. Cool. And that's starting to look pretty good. Let's just add a little bit more, texturing. Where are we here? I feel like this list like changes every time I look at it. It's like everything's rearranged. So let's go here. Let's clear that. And I think maybe we can just do a little bit of this. All right. Do a little bit of that. And I like these tenement houses here too. I put them here a long time ago. I have no idea where I got them from. So maybe we could just put a couple of details there. Let's look at the derelict stuff. I love shopping carts. We'll throw a shopping cart down. What else we got? Skip bag. That must be a European thing. Old sofa. Yes, please. And just kind of make this look like just a beat up area. All right. No tires, no truck. Yeah, we could put a beat up old truck here. Why not? That'll look cool. Let's just move this stuff. And yeah, so you'll see what I'll do is instead of like toggling between tools all the time, whoa, I'll tend to just kind of put a bunch of stuff down and then rotate it and then move it. So that way I'm not like constantly clicking between stuff over here. I got a helicopter flying over my apartment right now. Lovely. All right, so we'll slide that into there. Cool, and that looks like it's pretty dirtied up. And then we'll add some weeds, scenery. Whoop. Man, my mouse is bugging out. It's just, I don't know what the problem is. Brand new batteries. All right, this stuff here. Boom, we'll just throw some of this crap around. Make it look a little grown in. Another thing that I like to do sometimes, just to break up the monotony of it, is to just drop the height on some of these pieces of grass. It seems to help a bit. And then we'll do this. That's way too big. Why did you not update? There we go. I want some small ones. Put a shrub there. Do we have a yellowish looking guy? It's too big. 4 meters is too big. Maybe this? That's way too big. 1.2. Yeah, perfect. And there we go. So that looks kind of cool. I like the way that looks. Yeah, so that's a good start. That's a good start. I think maybe what I'll do is I'll make this into parking, either off camera or in the next episode. I don't know. I think that this could be parking, but this is getting a little bit long, so I got to wrap this up here now, guys. So I think that'll do it for this episode. Going forward, we're going to be here for a few episodes, I think. This is a pretty big build. I do want to bring some houses down this road over here. I have to redo some of these yard ladders here, and I mean, there's just so much work to do in this area, so I hope you guys are excited to see where this is going to go. I'm kind of going to just, like, work my way in, I guess. Like, I'm going to work over here and then slowly start working my way down this road and, you know, just see what I can link up with these garage doors here and these other doorways and the like. And just work my way down, and we'll see where it goes and see what happens. I really, as I said, I don't really know what direction a build is going to go until I start doing it, and it kind of emerges organically. So we'll see what happens as it happens. You guys will be there with me. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. So anyway, guys, thanks for all the love and support so far through this series and my other series. You guys have been really great. I know I say this every episode, but I wouldn't be here without you guys. So again, thank you so very much for all of the love and all of the likes and all of the support. Your feedback is much appreciated. So with that, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for me. I'll see you guys in the next one, all right? Bye-bye.